Parents of Reddit, what is the weirdest thing you caught your children doing? Welcome to Reddify. Before we start with the video, like, share, subscribe and turn notification bell. When my son was about 4, he was playing in his playroom. I was on the couch and heard some sounds behind me. It was just us. So I turn and see my son looking up at the light fixtures and whispering. I ask what he's doing. His response: I'm asking all the light bulbs in the house to not fall and kill you. Thanks, son. He's truly got my back. My son licked my toe. I asked him what he was doing, and he said time traveling. I found my kid talking to the hole in the sink when he was 2. Turns out that's where he said God lives. Carry on, you weirdo. X's eldest hoarded cardboard tubes. If asked, they were simply for later. The youngest adopted and formed a strong emotional bond with a garlic for about a week. I used to think that a benevolent creature lived in the tub drain. I got this idea that all the water would drown him, so when I pulled the plug from my bathtub, I would sit there and swat the water away from the drain. So it all went down slowly enough not to drown the good guy. When my son was first learning to talk, my mom kept saying, just wait until he learns to say no. Like, really building up the anticipation. Well, I opened my eyes one morning to my beloved child, 3 inches from my face and staring at me. As soon as he sees I'm awake, he loudly and dramatically whispers no. I still feel like he was letting me know that whole phase had started. My boys share a room. They were about 2 and 7 at the time, and I walked in their room and found them rocking on their hands and knees singing, "We AI area either we inner doogs." I have no idea. Seems pretty self-explanatory. They were the whiner dogs. Packing peas from our garden up her nose. This required a trip to the local hospital emergency room, where the doctor, a dad of several young children himself, thought it was hilariously funny. Soon my wife and I were laughing as well. When my little brother was 3. He's 25 now, he stuck an M&M up his nose. The doctors said to just let it melt. The babysitter was quite concerned when red and then brown started dripping out of his nose. For a while, our family joked that M&Ms melt in your nose, not in your hand. The M&M slogan at the time was they melt in your mouth, not in your hand. When my son was about 3 years old, he liked to wash his eyebrows with my facial cleanser. Just the eyebrows. Wet, lather, rinse, repeat. He said it made them nice and soft. As the son mentioned in this comment, I can confirm that my eyebrows were indeed super soft. Not my child, but I've caught my sister doing multiple strange things as a child. The 2 most notable were: I once caught her playing with a bag with yellowish liquid inside when she was 10. She had pulled this bag from the side of her backpack. I asked her what it was her own pee. She had been keeping it in there for days, and once in a while she'd pull it out go play with. I was horrified. When she was 8, she cut off her doll's hair, dismembered it and gave it a funeral which she made all of us attend. She went to dig it up several days later, but it wasn't there. She's done many other things, but those were the 2 weirdest things she did. My mom caught me bringing eggs from the kitchen into my room and sitting on them in a blanket nest, hoping they'd hatch. What she didn't catch was that I had been doing this for a while and would put the eggs back into the fridge when they wouldn't hatch after a few days. I did this too. I also used to put them in socks and leave them under my bed for a while because I thought that would hatch them. I would check on them every day for progress, and when nothing happened, back to the fridge they went. My 5-year-old nephew went to feed the chickens yesterday. I told him to get a hat. He came back fully naked with gumboots and a straw hat on. Apparently the last time he went to the chicken house they pecked at his junk, and he wants to show them that it's not big enough to eat yet. Kids are weird. If chickens pecked at my junk, I'd put many more layers on it instead of exposing it. It's all about asserting dominance. Packing turds into cardboard tubes with toilet paper and hiding them under the sink. She called them poop bombs. There was like 10 of them under there. 3-year-old daughter would dig through the garden or under backyard objects to find pillbugs, woodlice, and then bring them to us when they rolled into a ball. My wife and I would feign interest and tell her that they would stop rolling up into a ball once she left them alone. A while back, my wife had given her a small, unused makeup bag. One summer night, I caught her whispering into the makeup bag right before bedtime. I asked her who she was talking to. She said she was talking to all the beetles that didn't want to stop being balls. I looked inside. The makeup bag was full of dead pillbugs, at least 30 of them. She had been collecting them and trying to talk them out of their ball position. That's oddly endearing. This may be my favorite story. When my daughter was little, old ladies would come over and enthusiastically ask her simple questions. Like, what's your name? And she would always reply in flat, monotone, birthday cake. Then they'd ask another question like, oh, well, how old are you? And she'd say birthday cake. They would look over at us with great concern. So annoying. I went through a phase where if the house phone rang, I would race to it, answer it and shout, "Hello, this is Lollipop." Then I started to tell anyone on the street or in a store that my name was Lollipop. My mom got so tired of explaining to strangers that no, my birth name was not actually Lollipop, lol. We caught my sons, maybe 6 and 3 at the time, both sitting on the toilet together, one behind the other, pooping. They told us it was a double poop. We forbid them from ever doing that again. Edit to add. For those of you who think we are terrible parents because we stopped our children from doing double poops, please know they seem to be well adjusted and appear to have no permanent damage from this incident. We have provided them with ample outlets for their creativity that do not involve poop. Let's see. My daughter was drinking strawberry milk and then spitting it back into the cup so she could drink it again. I had hosed off a tarp and it was drying on the patio. We went outside, and she just stooped down and took a drink out of a puddle on the tarp. Just today I was in the garage and she came out, instantly grabbed a toothbrush I used to clean car parts and stuck it in her mouth. I don't even know anymore. Few years ago the cinnamon challenge was a thing. Walked in the door to my son with his head under the kitchen faucet gulping and spitting water. He accidentally grabbed the cumin instead of the cinnamon. I mean, I don't think the cinnamon would have been much more pleasant. I woke up to my 5-year-old spraying Windex on the window beside my bed, cleaning it thoroughly, then nodding at me and moving on to cleaning the windows in the next room. I still don't know what the hell was happening. Edit. She told me before bed that it needed cleaned so her cat could look out. The bottom of the windows gets smeared because the cats push their faces against it. So she wanted it clean for them. She was cleaning the windows, obviously.
Upon hearing that my preteen daughter tried to escape home via her bedroom window, I spoke up to her. I showed her how easy it is to just walk out the front door. My grandma said this to me too. Stop taking out my damn window screens, just use the door. Well, my sister uses the 3rd floor balcony to escape. Marine in the making. Gonna take a lot of crayons to break that fall. I was the son. When I was about 7 years old I started to develop an interest in ants. So I came up with the idea of having an ant farm. I got a shovel and took the sod out of my backyard in a circle around 4 feet in diameter. I would dig little holes in this plot to reveal and confirm that there were indeed ants there. Upon discovering the ants, I would get the sort of bricks that had holes in them and plant them in the ground so the ants had a place to live. I then was not satisfied with the number of ants on my farm. There was the old rotten tree stump adjacent to my ant farm, where I subsequently tore it apart. I had seen ants crawling on it previously, in search of more ants. I would literally just grab ants and let them crawl on me and then carry them to my ant farm to transplant them. I did this for probably 6 more years, and let me tell you, I had a ton of ants. Hanging out by the pool, our son, 7 at the time, had a shit-eating grin on his face, and he's giggling with his arms up on the side of the pool. Kids are weird, so we didn't even think twice. Finally, after like 10 minutes of us just chatting with him in this position, he excitedly announces, "Hey dad. If you stand here and lean against this jet it feels real good. Come try." I spit my drink everywhere, stood up, and walked off so I didn't die fucking laughing in front of him. I totally abandoned my fiancé to deal with that and just watched him try to keep it together through the window inside. It was phenomenal. Now we have to keep an eye out and shoo him away from the jet when we notice him lingering. Kids are gross.